Hello, everybody. My name is Sandra. I have a story for you about my mom, or rather, her attitude towards me. She has harassed me all my life, oppressed me, and most importantly, was jealous that my dad loves me more than her. It was sad to admit this fact, but that's just the way it was. Tell me, have you ever experienced anything like that? What would you do if you were me? How would you solve the problem? Although I think a lot depends on the causes. And that's what I want to tell you. Since childhood, I noticed that my mom treated me differently than usual. That is, all mothers often scold, but mine directly hated me. At first, I thought this attitude was the norm, that she was just incapable of being gentle and affectionate, until I had a little brother. They named him Kevin, so when he came into the world, I saw that my mom could play with a baby, could kiss and cuddle, and just love. There was a childish jealousy inside me. There were times when I took my feelings of resentment out on my little brother. I didn't really mean him any harm, but my emotions were running high, and I thought it was all Kevin's fault. I remember once my mom put him to bed, and I was really hungry at that point. I went over to my mom, and I asked for food. Mom pointed her finger at the door and whispered that she would be right over. I tripped over a toy, almost fell on the floor on my face, got caught in the crib, and fell on top of it with a bang. Kevin was asleep there. My mom freaked out, but I hadn't even touched him. Kevin woke up and started crying, and my mom grabbed him in her arms and yelled at me. "Look where you're going, dumbass! Didn't you see that he was sleeping? Why did you even come in here?"
"Sorry, Mom, I didn't mean to. It's just, I'm hungry and that's why."
"So go eat something yourself."
"But I don't know how to heat food in the microwave."
"Well, it's time to learn." Mom kicked me out of the room, so I went into the kitchen and got what I could find in the fridge and put the food in the microwave. I barely knew what to press, but something seemed to work. After a few seconds, it started sparking. I freaked out and hid under the table. After another moment, boom, there was a loud explosion. It turned out that the plate of food had exploded inside. The microwave burned, there was smoke, the fire alarm went off in the house, and the whole house was flooded with water. That's when I heard my mom screaming, "Sandra!" And I knew I was screwed. Kevin was crying again, and Mom was coming downstairs with heavy footsteps. But then Dad walked in. He saw the horror, asked what had happened, and Mom thundered, "It's your daughter's fault." But strangely enough, Dad calmly came up to me, took me in his arms, and asked me what had happened. I told him everything in tears, but he calmed me down, kissed me, changed my clothes, and took me to a cafe for lunch. I was glad that he didn't fight. He just listened. I asked him why he loved me so much, and he said shortly, "It's just the way it is. I love you just so." Those words became my cherished words. I felt his support, his love, and his care, and I didn't need more than that. We arrived home, by which time Dad had already called and paid a cleaning service to clean the house so Mom wouldn't have to do the work. By the end of the day, it was done. Mom barely spoke to us at dinner, and when I went to bed, I heard her and Dad fighting. "You let her do too much! What if she had burned our house down? If you had watched her properly, none of this would have happened." "Do you think so? Look at her, she's doing it to spite me." "She's 5 years old. How can she do something out of spite? She just wanted to eat, and you kicked her out and told her to do it yourself. How could a child know that you can't heat a plate with gold patterns in the microwave? Did you tell her that? And now you're trying to blame the child for just wanting to feed herself?" "You love her more than me. Sometimes I think so." "What? What does that have to do with it?" "It does. Even if she burned the whole house down, you wouldn't scold her. Have you ever helped me at least once? I take care of our son, by the way. I'm tired and I don't get enough sleep. You wanted this child too, so don't tell me now that I refuse to do the job. I support you all. Isn't that enough?" I couldn't hear anything else because Dad closed the door to their bedroom. I was sad. I didn't want my parents to fight over me. But the idea that my mother was jealous of me, that she thought my father loved me more, was killing me. There was tension in the house. I could feel that my mother was angry at us. I tried to make peace with her. I cleaned my room. I tried to watch my little brother, but in her opinion, I was always doing everything wrong. Eventually, I just stopped touching her and going near her, so she started calling me a slacker. I cried at the thought. It just couldn't get any worse. That's how we lived for another 6 years. So, over the years, my dad and mom became even more distant. My mom wouldn't let me near Kevin for fear I might hurt him. I'd come home from school with good grades, but she wouldn't even look in my direction. All my victories, exams, modules, recitals, all of them were successfully ignored. And then something else happened. That day, my family and I were getting ready to go on a little trip. I like camping only for a few days. By then, my little brother had grown up too. My dad said that all of his coworkers were going there with their families, and we thought it would be a good way to relax since we hadn't gone anywhere in years. We packed everything up, and off we went. It was a long drive, and when we arrived at the place, unreal beauty opened up before us. It was as if nature was finally letting us breathe. I immediately started helping my mom to unpack and put food out for a picnic, and Dad set up the tent. You better keep an eye on Kevin or you're gonna spill something. I'll be careful, Mom. Don't worry. Go ahead, I'll do it myself. Okay. Watch him. Okay, Mom. Kevin was a very active kid, and he was trying to get in and grab things and throw them away and break them. I could barely keep up with him, and he didn't listen to me at all. I offered to walk with him down to the water, and he wanted me to take his picture. I agreed, and we headed to the river. I took a few shots, then called him back, but Kevin refused. I threatened to tell my mom. Then he sighed, said okay, let me pee, and he came over. I rolled my eyes. Kevin hid behind a tree, and I was left waiting for him. Some time passed. That's a really long pee. I don't even have a napkin. Silence. Kevin, I'm gonna turn around, and if you don't answer, I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2. I turned around, and he was nowhere to be found. At first, I thought he was kidding me, so I started looking for him, but in silence, he was really nowhere. That's when I started to panic. I looked around, and then I noticed his sneaker on the bank of the river. I thought that was it. He had drowned. Instantly, I threw myself in the water, diving, screaming, almost drowning myself, but Kevin was still nowhere to be found. My parents and their coworkers came running in, hearing me scream. My mom got hysterical. My dad dove in and pulled me out, and then his colleagues ran into the water looking for Kevin. After 5 minutes, I realized I was done. I went over to my mom and asked her to call an ambulance and the police. She looked at me and slapped me in the face. I fell to the ground from the blow. Tears came to my eyes. My cheek was burning. I started to ask for forgiveness, told everything as it was. But my mother accused me of bringing him there on purpose and drowning him. Daddy got out of the water and began to calm her down. But it was no use. It was all because of her. He drowned because of her. Maybe he didn't drown. You know, Kevin, we should check the woods. Maybe he did it on purpose. Are you crazy? He's just a kid. And you, what kind of a father are you? You love her more than you love our son. Let's not do this here. Why? What do you mean, our son? Dad? Dad was silent, and I froze in anticipation. Then Mom wiped away her tears and said, through a shout, "That's what it means. You are not my own. You were born of his mistress, and I took you in as my own, raised you, and what's the result? You killed my son." It was like I got electrocuted. Daddy, is that true? Yes, it's true. You're my daughter, but not hers. I was silent. My hands were shaking. My breath hitched. I didn't know what to think. But it was clear to me now why she had disliked me so much all my life. A few seconds later, Kevin came down from the tree. What a twist. "Kevin, my boy!" my mom yelled and ran to him. Dad rolled his eyes and said he knew it was a prank. He scolded Kevin for watching it all for so long and not reacting. Mom stood up for him. Then my dad took my hand and walked up to Mom and said they were getting a divorce. I agree, this exit is not the rosiest, but in our situation, it is optimal. That's what my father said. He said that my mother died a long time ago and he couldn't leave me and took me in and never once regretted it. I've been living with him ever since. And I've never been happier. Tell me, guys, did you like my story? Write your opinion about it in the comments below the video. Don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel.